Hi guys, I hope that you are doing well. In today's video I would like to talk about the big event that's actually happening right now. It is the transit of Jupiter into Aries, and I'm actually more excited about this event than I was about Jupiter going into Pisces a few months ago, and I will explain why. Before I start, I do want to mention something because I have been getting questions about this channel since I transitioned my channel to astrology fully. I've been getting a lot of these new questions regarding what kind of astrology I use, what house system I use, and everything is very simple. I use Western tropical astrology. I use whole sign system for the predictions, for the monthlies, for the full moon, new moon videos, and so on. When we do personal readings, I use Placidus as well to look at your natal chart. So natal chart analysis, I use both Placidus and whole sign, but for predictions, for transits, for anything else, for solar returns as well, I use for the most part whole sign because I find that it works very, very accurately with the predictions, okay, with transits. Natal chart analysis, yes, I use both. So this is the default information here regarding the channel, how it works. I don't use Vedic, I use Western, so that is it. Now let's move on to the transit of Jupiter and Aries. So I would like to first of all compare the energies. Why am I more excited about this one? Well, first of all, you know, Pisces is more of a subtle, soft energy, barely on the surface. To be honest with you, it's actually under the surface, and we know that. And it is very dreamy, it is very foggy, it is very almost uncertain in a way. So while it could bring beautiful new beginnings to our lives in the past few months, it could also bring confusion, it could bring deceit, it could bring expansion of those problems in our life. We could potentially discover that somebody is lying to us, that somebody is not honest with us. We could maybe discover that we've been lying to ourselves this whole time. The fog is removed in front of us, right? We're able to see the situation clearly. And it is kind of a blessing in itself, but at the same time, I cannot say that Jupiter in Pisces actually brings you physical results. This is where Jupiter in Aries comes in, and I believe that with this exact transit, we're going to have the actual blessings, what we've been wanting, what we've been dreaming about, manifesting with Pisces Jupiter. Now, when Jupiter is in Aries, we're able to go get those blessings. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm seeing it. Now, I don't do any kind of collective astrology. I'm very much a personal astrologer and reader, but the only thing I'm worried about here with Jupiter and Aries is that Aries is a fire sign, aggressive sign, while, you know, Jupiter loves being in water signs and fire signs. It is a nice placement for it, but because of the situation that is happening in the world, that is happening, you know, where I'm from, I'm a little bit worried about this transit since Aries does rule military, does rule wars and, you know, disputes and so on. So I'm not sure how this is going to manifest on the collective, and I'm not trying to get into that topic anyway. But that's my only concern. But on the personal level, I do believe that it's actually going to bring us the blessings that we've been desiring with the Pisces Jupiter. And now we can go get them, or they can manifest faster, right? Aries is the sign of speed. So I'm very excited about that part of this transit. And think about what was happening 12 years ago. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2010 through 2011, right? What was happening then when Jupiter was in Aries? My life drastically changed 12 years ago, actually, with this transit. So I'm very excited to see more results this time, you know, more things happening, not just speculating, oh, is this gonna happen or not? You know, not just thinking about them, not just imagining them, not just waiting for them, but actually going and getting them and actually having them for, you know, finally in our lives. Let's start with the signs. Aries. Very exciting here. Jupiter is going in your first house from the 12th house. So when it was in the 12th house, it's almost like you were pushed in a way to relax, to rest, to possibly just distance from all the wishes and dreams that you have, all the motivation, all the inspirations, aspirations that you may have going on. But now that it's going in your first house, it's like, okay, so you've dreamed about all of these beautiful things. You've dreamed about these plans and these goals, right? Now it's time to take action. And definitely, especially for you, if you're Aries rising especially, this is the bomb aspect, or I should say transit, because it literally will get you in the spotlight if you've been wanting to be noticed somehow, if you've been wanting to get recognized for your efforts, if you've been wanting to maybe start dating again, if you've been wanting to get at the job that you want, or go study, or move, whatever that may be, in the first house, it can drastically expand that desire that you've been having with Jupiter in Pisces in the last few months. It's beautiful. I've just had Jupiter in my first house. It was in Pisces though, so it was a little bit of different energy, but I got engaged. I think I've said it in the last couple of videos, you know, I was able to pay off some debt, and like I was able to get my life kind of on better track, but at the same time I can say that, you know, it's not an all blessing type of transit, even though it is Jupiter and it does have the healing nature to it, but it cannot necessarily fix everything. It's not like the magician, right? It's realistic in a way. What you're able to achieve, you will have that help from Jupiter, but of course your action will be required. I feel like Jupiter in Aries is the type of transit that, or the type of placement that makes you work, right? Makes you take action. But it blesses you with a good result too. Also your relationships, right? If you've been in a serious relationship for a long time, you can move to the next step now. If you've been wanting to maybe somehow show yourself to the world, that is an amazing, amazing time. And when Jupiter was in the 12th house, you know, you were maybe trying to focus on long distance goals. You possibly we're even trying to make progress, but Jupiter in the 12th, it only expands that isolation almost in a way. So now, and of course it expands spirituality as well, so maybe you were into some topics, right, that are under the surface, that are only close to your heart, only make sense to you and to your belief. But if it came down to shining on stage, right, showing your skills, or, you know, trying to maybe get into a relationship or something like that, maybe it was a little bit more difficult because you weren't quite seen. Now you are the star, and now you will definitely be seen. So I find that to be very exciting. And if you are an Aries sun, that's also good, because your identity, your persona is going to be in the spotlight, and it kind of works similar way. You know, you're able to shine, you're able to show your skills, you're able to get noticed, get recognized, and so on. So yeah, I find this transit to be very nice for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Taurus. Hi Taurus. So for you, Jupiter is moving in the 12th house from the 11th house. Well, 12th house is a little bit tricky, because what it can expand is isolation in a way. However, a lot of times it is the chosen kind of isolation, like you prefer to be isolated. For example, for me, when Jupiter was in the 12th house, I had a baby, you know, so I wasn't really working. I was just sitting at home with a baby, and it was my time to connect deeper with my child and to just spend more time together. And you know, also take that break, take that time for myself and from my recovery. And sometimes, obviously, life puts us in the situation where we are happy with something, right? For example, a birth of a child, but at the same time, we're not quite seen by the world because this is what we're supposed to focus on. And it's not something that the whole world has to see. And it could be something like this. It could be a happy circumstance in your life, but it keeps you somewhat isolated from others, from other people's eyes, from kind of recognizing you. Because as of right now, there is something that needs to be worked on in private, or maybe not worked on, but something needs to be experienced in some way in private. So then you can eventually shine when Jupiter goes into your first house, into your sign. Then you will definitely shine. Then you will express what you've been wanting to express to the world, to the loved ones, to very important people. You know, your relationships are going to receive a boost and so on. But for now, it is time for peace, quiet, and enjoying something that you have in private. And Jupiter could bring a lucky circumstance that you will be enjoying in private. I mean, it's not just like, well, how about I'm gonna go enjoy my shitty life in private? No, it's not like that. You know, it can bring you something very nice and very happy, but it's not something that you have to show off quite yet. You know, it's not something that you can use in the outside world quite yet. Of course, it can also expand your spiritual beliefs. I dug into different practices, you know, when Jupiter was transiting my 12th house. For a lot of people, this can also be moving or traveling abroad, finally, right? And the further the country, the more, like, the stronger this aspect, I keep saying aspect, the stronger this transit is going to manifest. So I find that to be pretty exciting, you know, despite the fact that blessings of Jupiter are happening in the 12th house. They are still very powerful here, and they are just blessings that aren't necessarily very tangible. They are more of a spiritual nature, emotional nature, you know, something that can help maybe heal your mental health. It's still a very beneficial placement, transit for you, and I hope that you enjoy it. Because when Jupiter was in the 11th house, it was time for you to work hard. It was time for you to kind of reap the rewards of your labor, of your efforts, and maybe there were a lot of people surrounding you. It was very busy, but now that it's in the 12th house, it's kind of like time to distance from the world, time to focus on yourself, on what you love, on what's most important to you, and enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now I'm moving on to Gemini. Hi Gemini. So for you, Jupiter is moving into Aries, or I should say already moved into Aries, to your 11th house from your 10th house. So when Jupiter was in your 10th house, you could have been in the spotlight quite a lot in your career. There could be some demands from you. You know, you had to shine, you had to prove yourself, you had to defend yourself, stand your ground. You had to really show the world, show the authorities, show whoever that may be, that you are worth it, that you deserve this title, that you deserve this status, and so on. But now it seems like all these things in the career or status area of life, public image, they are coming to an end. Maybe you're about to obtain the status that you've been wanting and secure it. Maybe it is time to, again, prove yourself maybe one last time. And finally, with Jupiter in the 11th house, you're going to start seeing the rewards from that effort soon, from that hard work that you've put in, from maybe, let's say, if Jupiter in Pisces in your 10th house expanded your career somehow, expanded your career opportunities, maybe financially as well, then it is time to really see those results and possibly even set new goals. Jupiter in the 11th house also expands your social circle. You could start involving yourself with many different communities and groups. You may feel more self-confident after the transit in your 10th house. You may feel more optimistic about life, about your friendships, about social circle. You may feel like there is a group that you belong to. You may start networking actively because, again, there is some kind of a positive development happening in your career, right? Or your status in this world. So you're able to use that in the 11th house in 2022 and in 2023. You're able to network more, attract more connections to you. You can set different goals. You can achieve different goals. And if you've been thinking about starting an online business, for example, if you've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel or a page, a blog, you can do that now. And 11th house can talk about your subscribers, your followers. That can be expanded with Jupiter. Yeah, I think it should be a really nice development of events for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Cancer. Hi, Cancer. So Jupiter is in your 10th house and it moved there from your 9th house. There seems to be this time to shine. Obviously, it's a very important transit for you. But coming from the 9th house, you know, you may have had about a year or so, last few months, full of setting goals, maybe seeing your future in a certain light, and you were dreaming, imagining, maybe preparing somehow, possibly doing some work to manifest this beautiful future, to make something a reality. And now, when Jupiter moves into your 10th house, now it's time to act. Now it's time to prove yourself. Now it's time to defend yourself, possibly. Now it's time to show the world who you are, what you're worth, and what you want to do. And yes, it can be connected directly to your career. It can also be connected to possibly your status. For example, in the 9th house, you went to school, right? And now you're potentially graduating, or something is coming to an end here regarding your education. And now when Jupiter moves into your 10th house, now you're starting to apply for jobs, starting to get interviewed, trying to prove yourself, right? To get the job that you desire. Or maybe this could be you preparing to immigrate. You've been collecting different documents. You've been working with a lawyer in the last few months. And now it's time to obtain that status, right? For example, from, I don't know, a visa holder to a green card holder, from green card holder to a citizen. There could be all those things as well related to this area. But overall, if you've been dreaming about something in the 9th house, something that is not just beneficial for you personally, but beneficial for your image, for your place in this world, place under the sun, kind of, then it's going to happen here with Jupiter in the 10th house, because, you know, in the 9th house, we dream, we imagine. For example, you've been wanting to become a parent. 10th house changes your status. No kids, now you're a parent suddenly. You have kids now. So there is any kind of status here that may change. And just because of the nature of this Jupiter, it's a very fiery Jupiter, you will have to act, you will have to prove yourself. It's not just going to, you know, fall on your lap, and you know it, and you've been preparing for it in the 9th house. And, you know, maybe you got to travel a lot in the 9th house, and now you're kind of settling down wherever you live so that you can work hard now. So you can, you know, okay, I'm done being out of the country, or I'm done doing this and this and that. Now it's time to work, right? Now it's time to get stable. That could just be one of the examples how this can play out. But I'm very excited for you, Cancer. Especially Cancer rising, but Cancer sun, Cancer moon can of course also benefit from this energy, because it is going to be hitting them with a square, meaning that it is going to be a life-changing in some ways. Maybe you may even resist it, but it's going to be a powerful change that you will remember and that will stick with you for the next 12 months. I mean, 12 years. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Leo. Hi, Leo. So for you, Jupiter moved into your 9th house from the 8th. So I find that when it was in the 8th house, it may have given you a solution to a certain crisis, or it's about to give you a solution to a certain crisis. Why? Because, well, if you know, Jupiter will retrograde into Pisces again, and it will be again in your 8th house for some time. So if, let's say, a certain crisis in your life is currently unfinished, then it will be finishing up pretty soon, and you will no longer have to deal with it, because once you move into the 9th house, these huge doors of opportunity open for you. 9th house is a very happy house. Jupiter actually belongs to the 9th house. So you're going to be feeling this energy very beautifully. It's going to be a breath of fresh air. It's going to be the light at the end of the tunnel. Finally, if you've been needing, for example, to leave the country or leave a certain environment and you couldn't, something was holding you back, now finally the doors open, you're able to travel, you're able to move, you're able to reunite with someone here as well, especially if they are far away. In the 8th house also, there could be maybe some deals coming to an end, financial deals coming to an end, and once they do, and I believe they will, once they do, you will be able to do more with that result of the deal, right? You will kind of start planning your life. You will start seeing a bigger picture of your life, where you want to be, what you want to be doing. It's absolutely amazing. Jupiter and Aries can bring a very fiery individual into your life, someone that you consider a teacher, someone that you respect, and this person is going to start helping you heal your crisis, helping you heal your traumas, your secrets, not secrets, like, yeah, like things that may be coming to the surface, you know, some psychological stuff there. They will help you heal those wounds, and you will find someone that you respect, someone that you relate to, someone that you really trust, and I think that's very nice. On the other hand, for those of you that are appropriate age, there could be grandchildren born around the transit of Jupiter in the 9th house. For others here, there could be a very strong accent on religions, on spirituality, on different belief systems. It doesn't have to be religion. It can honestly even be politics. It can be different philosophy. Like, it can be many different views on the world, but that will be shifting. And I believe Jupiter will be, it will be felt like you need to study this. You want to be a part of this in some way. And I'm pretty sure that once you come out of the 9th house, or I should say, once Jupiter comes out of your 9th house, you will be very set on a certain belief, on certain faith, I guess you'd call it. And you will have that, you will hold that faith for the next 12 years. And I find that to be very powerful for you, and a very positive transit overall. Dear Leos, thank you so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Virgo. Hi Virgo, for you, Jupiter is in your 8th house now. It transited there from the 7th house. So for the last few months, maybe something shifted in your relationships, and it can be business relationships, it can be personal relationships. You could have broken up with someone, or maybe you could have got engaged. That's what happened in our family. You know, this could be a very important time for people that you communicate with on the daily, people that you engage with on the daily. Now, when Jupiter is transiting in the 8th house, that can mean that you will now figure out how to work together with someone when it comes to maybe sharing your resources, when it comes to just overall learning how to share, learning how to be open about topics in your life that maybe are not so comfortable to talk about, you know, but you may have a person that's very close to you, a person that you trust, that you will have to learn how to share with. That's only if, you know, certain things were happening in your 7th house. Maybe you collaborated with a lot of people, maybe you have networked, maybe you got a new business partner, and now you are going to be engaging with this business partner regarding finances and so on, and how the business works. Maybe, for example, you got married while Pisces Jupiter was in Pisces, and now you are, you know, splitting your resources, and or I should say sharing your resources and so on. But for others, honestly, 8th house could simply talk about you healing certain crises in your life. And when Jupiter was in my 8th house, I cannot say that it was a very easy time, because yes, it was a very overall traumatic year for me. And Jupiter being in the 8th house, I felt like it was expanding that chaos. However, at the very end of the transit, it did switch my situation around completely. It was able to end a 7.5-year crisis for me. 7.5 years. And I thank Jupiter for that, if I were to think astrology, right? So while it may not switch, it may not just disappear out of your life in a snap of a finger, Jupiter can, during its transit in your 8th house, it can heal a certain absolutely terrible, traumatic situation in your life. For me, it was dealing with a stalker, and you know, 8th house does rule stalkers and creepy dudes and all that. So I had to deal with that, and it was traumatic, and I was able to also heal from that situation. So what else? Well, different resources you will be receiving without necessarily making money for them. So, you know, help from banks, help from tax agencies, help from your marriage partner or whoever, let's say, you're coupled with or you have a business with, and so on. It's a very beneficial year for you financially, dear Virgo. But thank you so much for watching, and now I'm moving on to Libra. Hi Libra. So for you, Jupiter is moving into your 7th house from the 6th house. When Jupiter was in your 6th house, you maybe could have dealt with some annoying people at work, possibly, you know, just some frustration at work, because Jupiter tends to expand every area of life that it's transiting. And here, you know, 6th house rules annoying people, annoying paperwork that we have to go through and sign and run around and get all these documents. And, you know, this is usually a little bit of a challenging area of life, and Jupiter could have been expanding that. Jupiter could have possibly healed you as well from a certain health issue, or maybe it has pointed a way how you can transform your health, how you can make yourself feel better. But now in the 7th house, it's like you fix something with your documents, you fix something with your work. Now it is time to pay attention to your relationships. Now it's time to network, to go out there, communicate with people, mingle, maybe date, right? Go on an online dating website. If you are partnered, you're not interested in any kind of dating, this could just be finding friends, finding your social circle, finding people that you can interact with, you know, once in a while, who you can have in your life, you know, on like long term. Usually Jupiter in Aries brings very fiery, active, motivated people. They're a little bit, sometimes they can be a little bit too fast, but they're very independent. They are very determined, and you kind of learn it from them. Since Jupiter is a teacher, you know, you learn, you admire them for their independence, for their fire, and you even want to take some tips from them as well. Of course, you know, when there are major transits happening in the 1st and 7th houses, for you and for Aries both, you know, this can mean birth of a child, conception, this can mean marriage, divorce, this can mean engagement, this can be buying a house or selling a house, moving, finishing up a legal battle, which most likely could be in your favor. It's negotiations, different financial deals, all of that could be expanding and concluding, and with a very positive result here. Yeah, it may not necessarily be the type of situation that just ends right now, right? There may be some time for it. Sometimes Jupiter literally kisses you right before it leaves, which could happen right now for you with the 6th house matters. For example, a work opportunity can come up. literally between now and December. But yeah, so that's what I'm seeing here, but it's a very positive aspect. Transit, I keep saying aspect, it's a very positive aspect, it's a powerful one. It will change your life for the next 12 years. You could find people that will not only teach you something, but it will somehow, you will somehow benefit from for the next 12 years. So I think it's definitely something to look forward to. You know, if you've been single for a very long time, this is an opportunity. I cannot say that the very first person you meet, this is it. When I had Jupiter in my 7th house, I did date someone, and it just having almost like a PTSD from it right now, to be honest with you. However, the next person after that person that I met, he is about to be my husband. So yeah, like, yeah, Jupiter sometimes can bring us not such good people for us, right? But we have to like learn something through that experience so that we can move on to the actual blessing from Jupiter. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio. So for you guys, Jupiter is moving into your 6th house from your 5th house. So Jupiter in the 5th house could have expanded your fun. I don't want to say your fun. I feel like maybe it added a little bit more lightheartedness to your life, you know, a little bit more ease to your day-to-day life. Maybe you started smiling more, maybe you started engaging in more hobbies, maybe you gathered a social circle that you could be doing things together, like for example, I don't know, doing CrossFit together, drawing together, doing music together, you know, something like that. Dating as well could have been kind of a big one here. There could be many different things happening in the dating world. There could be some positive experiences, maybe even some negative experiences, but overall Jupiter was expanding that area of life. You may still actually meet a romantic partner because Jupiter will travel back into your 5th house. So between now and December, you could have a child. Between now and December, either have like a conception, or maybe you are already expecting, right? So this could be like a culmination, you could give birth. And also, again, there could be something added to your life that is nice and positive and sweet and happy. You know, you could maybe solve a certain situation in your life that has been challenging, but now once it's solved, you're able to breathe easier, you're able to actually enjoy life more. It's just a overall nice optimistic energy. I wonder if any of you have like won the lottery while Jupiter was in your 5th house, or maybe you have found out that someone has been deceiving you, right? With Jupiter in Pisces and with Neptune there. It's like there could be some strong energies here finding out different things about romantic partners, potential romantic partners. But now that it's going in the 6th house, it's almost like, okay, so the fun part of your life is healing. You're able to maybe do more in your life now. Now it's time to work. You know, 6th house likes working, likes organizing. So here you may create a new schedule for yourself that's very beneficial. Here you may actually receive a new job, literally. It's like in the 5th house, maybe you've enjoyed a little bit of time spent with friends, or maybe you've created your own business, you started creating your own business, right? You took care of the creative part of it, but now in the 6th house you are taking care of the actual functional part of it, that it is able to generate income, that it's able to do marketing, that it's able to I don't know, somehow function in the market, in the world, right? So that you're gonna be getting some consumers. So this could be the time for this. You know, you could be expanding your business that you may have created in the last few months. You could have been maybe finding a new job, searching for a new job, going to interviews, and you could find a perfect for you job in the 6th house here on the transit of Jupiter in Aries. The only thing is, you know, since Aries is the sign of action, we will have to act. We can't just, you know, sit around and wait for the perfect opportunity. but they will be coming with ease here. So I think that if you really want to succeed, if you really want to work in a job that you appreciate, where you want to feel appreciated, Jupiter can expand that for you. Jupiter can bring it to fruition. The only thing is, sixth house is house of annoying co-workers, annoying people, annoying paperwork, documents that you may have to run around and get. So it could expand that area of life. So let's say the job is perfect, but the group of people that you have to deal with on the daily may not be so great. But then when it moves into the seventh house, it'll be a different story. On the other hand, how this can play out is your health will be in the spotlight now. Yes, Jupiter can show you a health issue, but it can also show you a treatment. And if you've been suffering with like a chronic illness, Jupiter could actually bring healing to that as well. So I find that to be a very optimistic transit for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Sagittarius. Hi Sagittarius, for you, Jupiter just moved into your fifth house, and it came there from the fourth. So what can I say here? Jupiter in the fourth house, this could be the urge to maybe change your living conditions somehow. This does not mean that you may have wanted to move necessarily, but it could be something that needed to be change, something that needed to be done at the very core, meaning that maybe you were receiving some help, receiving some psychological help, so you can improve your emotional state, your psychological state, right? Because the fourth house is that bottom of the chart, is that core of our soul. So you could be healing that with Jupiter in the fourth house. On the other hand, this could be literally, like I said, you wanting to change, and you have been changing potentially your living conditions. You've been maybe moving, you maybe rebuilt something, built a house, maybe you have completely changed the look of your home. And also there could be some additions to your family, there could be some changes that were happening in your family life and overall in your personal life, in the life that nobody sees. So you still have time to change that area of life, to move, to buy a place, to sell a place, to rent it out, until Jupiter, until December or so. Because then, once Jupiter returns to Pisces and then it goes back to Aries, then it will be the time for your fifth house to shine. So let's say there is something going on at the core. You're healing your emotional state, you're healing maybe some childhood traumas there. Maybe you are changing your living conditions. That can be anything from remodeling to moving to selling to buying a property, maybe getting into real estate, maybe starting to work from home remotely. But now the fifth house here, that's, let's say if you are having currently like a remote job, this could expand, this could bring some really positive developments. For example, if you've been considering, screw it all, I want to work from home, I think I could benefit working remote, or I think I could benefit, for example, leaving my day job and starting my own business from home. You could start doing that, especially now and starting like December, January. You could start expanding or start building your own business, right? Your own child, in a form of a business, in a form of a blog, in a form of a website, in a form of a channel, Etsy page, whatever that might be. Especially if you are very creative, this can be a very good transit. Of course, for those that are potentially considering getting pregnant, those that are the appropriate age, that could be also a very nice development here. Jupiter in the fifth house, that's a very traditional meaning, of conception and so on, and just childbirth. But overall, guys, Jupiter in the fifth house is going to expand your joy, is going to expand the fun area of your life. It's going to, by the way, could also expand some intimate relationships in your life if you're interested in those. But there is joy, there is optimism, there is a feeling that you finally reach that point where you no longer have to be depressed. Because like in the last few months, you know, I feel like all mutable signs were triggered by everything that was going on astrologically, especially ascendants. They were definitely having it tough. Now it's the fixed signs turn, but you know, you guys are able to relax a little bit more. And in the 5th house, this is something fun that's coming into your life. This could be, by the way, your romantic life blooming, and the people that you might be attracting into your life are very fiery, they're very sexy, they're very, like, I don't know, artistic as well, creative, and you are attracted to that. You know, you like that. Of course, Jupiter just simply can expand a certain area of life, so this doesn't mean that every person that you will be meeting is going to be the most genuine, the most amazing person. They all may have similar characteristics, but it does not mean that it's going to be like the one. Right? It's just telling you that it's expanding that area of life. But if you've been wanting to start a business or get pregnant or just overall bring more joy into your life, maybe gather a social group of friends and start doing things together, start doing something fun together, I think that's a wonderful time to do so. Dear Sagittarius, I'm very excited for you. This Jupiter is making a trine to you. Again, life seems to be picking up. Life seems to be changing for the better. So thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Capricorn. Hi Capricorn. So for you, Jupiter is moving into the 4th house from the 3rd. And in the 3rd house, what it could be is you may have experienced a change in your immediate environment. There could be some changes happening within your home. There could be some changes maybe happening with your overall day-to-day life, like what you want to have around you, who you want to have around you in your daily life, because 3rd house is actually very rich in a way. You know, there are so many things that are involved in that house that it's very difficult to pinpoint what exactly it could be. And there could be some change in the lives of your siblings, or maybe you could even have a sibling as well in the last few months, which isn't going to be the case for everyone, you know, for a lot of people, depending on what age you are. But there could be some interesting developments happening within your family, happening within your immediate environment. You could have possibly got an opportunity to go to school, to study a course, to study anything really, you know, to just expand your knowledge overall. And now Jupiter is moving in your 4th house. Now you are a little bit maybe toned down in a way, because 4th house is the core of your soul. It's the bottom of our chart, right? It's the most hidden part of the chart. And this is where Jupiter is expanding blessings and bringing blessings. I feel like whatever needs to be resolved in the 3rd house, like education, like changing some kind of living conditions, maybe, you know, possibly some family matters going on, that is going to probably resolve until sometime December, January. And then when Jupiter moves into the 4th house, you will start focusing on what you have to work with now, if that makes sense. 4th house a lot of times brings us a new property. It brings us a potential move if we've been desiring it. In the 3rd house, we could be collecting documents. So now we are able to move. We have a green light, right? If you've been needing to get a citizenship, for example, a green card, not necessarily a visa, but I've seen that play out as well when you just kind of leave, but you come back eventually. But there is a sense of building the stronger foundation, whether it's on the land, like where you live, right? Maybe from immigrating to securing a citizenship or a residency. to maybe just simply buying a house, selling a house, moving. And third house here could have helped regarding paperwork, could have helped maybe find a proper legal team, find someone that can refer you, or find someone that can simply help you achieve this result now in the fourth house. Jupiter doesn't, being in the fourth house does not mean that you're going to instantly move as soon as it goes into Aries. Well, first of all, Aries is the sign that will want you to work for it, right? So you will be taking action. But also it could be any time throughout the transit of Jupiter in the fourth house that you may move, that you may buy a place, that you may sell a place as well. And of course, there will be different developments happening within your family. For example, you will be able to see your family more often, or maybe your family is going to somehow move in with you or be closer to you. Maybe there could be a new member in the family, okay? It does not have to be a child, but there could be many different things happening in that private life that nobody sees but you. And I find that to be exciting because it's a major transit. It's going to change your family life very not dramatically, but it's going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot. It's going to expand your living conditions. It's going to make them work for you better. Because then when you secure those positions in your, those foundations, right? In the fourth house, when Jupiter moves into the next sign, into Taurus in your fifth house, then it's going to be time for fun, for maybe your own thing, your own business to blossom, maybe for children to enter your life. You know, there could be many interesting developments happening later on, but for now, it is about securing that foundation, securing those living conditions that you want to have, and you will succeed at that, dear Capricorn. And now we're moving on to Aquarius. Hi, Aquarius. For you, Jupiter has moved into your third house just now from your second house. So when it was in your second house, you could have found many different opportunities to make more money, to just start making money, to maybe expand somehow your work environment where you simply have more opportunities to make money. But it could also have expanded and improved your self-value. How you value yourself, how you value your time, how you should be valued by others. All of those topics could be really prominent with the transit of Jupiter in your second house. It still can bring you some nice benefits until December or January sometime. So it's not quite over yet with Jupiter in your second house. However, Jupiter may come out of the second house with a very good financial opportunity for you, a complete restructuring of the financial system in your life generally, and of course good values for the loved ones, for yourself. You know, your self-esteem will receive a boost. You will know that this time spent, the last few months, were not for nothing. You have established something of your own. You have established a healthier self-esteem and a healthier, well, I call it financial system in your life, you know, whatever that may be. Of course, maybe in the past, Jupiter may have given you different expansions. You know, sometimes maybe you had to close down a certain source of income and start a new one, but it did guide you throughout many different challenges so that you can find the perfect one for yourself. So now moving into the third house, it's time to boost that qualification. It's time to become a bigger deal, a better deal, you know, a pro at what you do. And third house can help you with many different courses, classes, certifications, teachers. You know, you may find someone even in your surroundings that's very helpful, someone that is super motivated, super quick and active and fiery, and you may admire them for that, and you may want to learn from them. And this is the time when it's not just it makes sense to increase that qualification, to better yourself at your profession, but it's something that you want to do. You know, you may just be going back to school, you may be doing different courses, like smaller studies, you know, that give you a certificate because you know that the consumer, or, you know, whoever wants to see that, right? It's important for you. So I think that it's going to be a very helpful time for your career, very helpful time for your own personal growth and development. And you're just going to, I don't want to say, oh, you're going to be wiser and more knowledgeable after this transit, but I mean, it will give you new skills. It will give you new skills. It will give you new connections. It will give you lots of new connections, contacts that you can communicate with, network with, collaborate with. It's going to be such a helpful transit. I am very, very excited for you, dear Aquarius. But thank you so much for watching. And now we're moving on to Pisces. Hi, Pisces. So for you, Jupiter, I don't know why I'm looking at my notes, considering I'm a Pisces rising. I know exactly where it's moving. It's moving into your, or it has moved into your second house from your first. So I feel like in the first house, a lot of good things could have happened to us, but also a lot of subtle things could have happened. It may have seemed like, you know, we were ready to go, we were wanting to charge forward, but it was mostly dreams rather than reality. You know, we were creating this perfect plan, but more like in our head rather than in action. And now it's time to act. And with the second house here, Jupiter could definitely expand the financial area of life, the financial structure, the financial system in your life. There may be this boost of self-confidence with Jupiter in the second house, because while it was in the first, you were analyzing yourself, your personality, your skills, and what you can do for yourself and for your loved ones and for the world. And now with the second house, you're actually making money, you're making it happen, you're more confident about what you can do in the world and for your loved ones and for yourself, and you're taking action. And I feel like, especially for Pisces, this is the transit of waking up and actually taking action, because because in the first house it could have almost kept you asleep in some way. So now, you know, you're going to be able to really show yourself to the world, show your skills, and get paid for them nicely. When I had this transit in my second house last time, it was 12 years ago or so. I remember this is when I moved to the States after college, and I actually started, you know, working like as an adult now, you know, because when I was in school, I was a full-time student. I've never really worked while in school. I've had a couple like summer jobs, you know, but actually moving to a different country, you know, starting to work, that like having, you know, bills in my name, that was also new to me. And I felt like an adult. I felt responsible. I felt maybe more of a self-confidence, you know, I can do this. I'm an adult now, I pay my own bills, I live in a different country, you know, I have a job. And, you know, since then, obviously 12 years have gone by, and I've had different jobs, and I've had crappy jobs, and I've had good jobs, and, you know, I'm still on the path. Like, astrology is not the only thing that, you know, I'm interested in or want to do for the rest of my life, but what I'm trying to say is that, you know, maybe it was at some point launched, but you perfected it now 12 years later, and for the next 12 years it's going to be even better. At least I am optimistic about it. So, dear friends, I hope that you enjoyed this reading, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.